Well, hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Well, it's been a while since I've been able to do a video, mainly because of what's been going on around here. Let me explain. So, the two mid-rise buildings in our development have their garages underneath the buildings. However, the garages actually extend out away from the buildings underneath garden areas. And so we were having water seepage issues into those areas. Luckily, my space, our parking space, is almost directly below this unit, a few floors down, so we weren't getting any water there, but other folks are getting water coming in. So we had to contract with a company to fix that situation. Not cheap at all. So for the last more than a week, coming up I think on 2 weeks, we've had them over working on the adjacent building. And the garden area is, I'm pointing to my window here, and the garden area is right out there. So they've been doing all this work and using a jackhammer, and so there is a diesel air compressor that has been sitting out here running from around 8:30 in the morning until 5 o'clock in the evening or so. And I tried recording videos even with the windows closed, and we have new windows here that do a pretty good job keeping noise out, but recorded it, listened to it, yeah, it did not sound good. You could still hear that compressor. But today, it's been raining all day and they can't work. So, I get to shoot a video here at home. So, today, I'm going to talk about, hey, it's September, the new iPhones are out, and every year we go through this thing of, oh, geez, should we upgrade or not? I have my old iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is soldiering on. I used to use this fairly frequently as a vlogging device, vlogging camera. I have since gotten the Osmo Pocket 3, and I tend to use that. So, the question is, am I going to upgrade? Well, there are like two major things that I find interesting, at least about the iPhone 16 Pro. And that is the little camera control button that Apple doesn't want to call a button. I think that actually, and if you know me, you know that I tend to like to use a compact camera over a phone as a photography device just because of the ergonomics. Well, we'll see how this camera controller works. Evidently, from some of the reviews I've seen, it takes a while to get used to and operate smoothly, but it's probably a muscle memory thing. So I find that interesting because that takes away one of my objections. And I've tried using the volume buttons to actuate the shutter. I just don't like how that works, and I tend to not be able to do it very smoothly, so I get a little jerky. But the other thing is at least on the Pro models, and it's probably true of the plain 16 as well, is the ultra-wide camera, which the Pro model has a 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera. The base model does not. Either way, they're probably better. Either one is probably better than the ultra-wide on this camera, which is sufficient, but visibly not as good as the main camera on the 12 Pro Max. So that has me interested because, again, I did this video that I'll link to in the end titles about minimalist photography, where I just went out on a fairly extensive hike with a Lumix ZS200 and the Osmo Pocket 3. Well, of course, you don't have the ultra-wide there. Well, you do on the Osmo Pocket 3, but, it's 9 megapixels. So if you want to have an ultra-wide with you and you're doing minimalist photography, if an ultra-wide on the phone is good enough, there you go. So there's that. Now, one more thing that I'd heard supposedly that Apple had done was put better coatings on the lenses to get rid of the ghosting problem when you're out at night shooting and you've got light sources, especially like in a city, and you get the ghost image of those light sources, and the more light sources you have, the more ghosts you get. Turns out, nope, it's not fixed. The question is, am I going to upgrade? Probably not this year, and for a couple of reasons. One is, the 16s are not a finished product. There are going to be software updates that are going to add most of the functionality that as Apple is talking about, the AI stuff that it's going to be able to do. It can't do that yet. It's essentially what we used to call, and they probably still call it that, vaporware back when I was in sales, where, you know, I'd sometimes have a competitor say, oh, we're going to have this in 3 months. And it's like, well, that's vaporware. Maybe, maybe not. I'm sure Apple is going to do this. But the other thing to keep in mind on whether, if you're making a decision on whether to upgrade or not, I think if you have a 15 or a 15 Pro, there's really not much point in upgrading. When you go back to the 14 and earlier, there is a reason to upgrade, I think, and that is if you want the AI features that are in iOS 18. Because iOS 18 is only going to run on the iPhones 15 through 16. That's it. If you've got an earlier phone, it's not going to run it, according to what I've been able to find out online. So if you really want to have those features, you're going to have to pony up for either an iPhone 16, or if you don't want to spend the money, right now is the time to get a 15 or 15 Pro at a discount, because you'll be able to run iOS 18. Otherwise, you are out of luck. Of course, if you're going on to YouTube, you're probably getting deluged with iPhone reviews, iPhone 16 reviews. And of course, they run the gamut. Most of them are at the extremes, right? It's the best thing since sliced bread. It's horrible, it sucks. And of course, the truth is somewhere between those two extremes. You know, I found both of those views kind of irrational. You know, nothing's ever perfect. There's people who are really huge Apple fans. Apple can do no wrong. That's as irrational as the haters. Over on the other side that you have who, you know, Apple sucks, they hate Apple. And it's just like, it's irrational. The rational view is it's probably going to end up being a decent phone. It's probably going to have a lot of useful things. If you're a videographer, you know, the 120 frames per second 4K, that might be a big deal, although that's going to eat up a lot of storage space. But I wanted to call attention to one review, and I saw it a few days ago. And this guy did just some incredible work with an iPhone 16 Pro. The guy's name is Austin Mann. He's over in East Africa, Kenya. And interestingly, when I looked at, I think he just started his YouTube channel, but he's been doing a blog for a long time. And so when I went to look at his video, which blew me away, he had like 1,500 subscribers. And I just was like, what? Which is, you know, fewer than me. I just looked, he's gone over 2,000 now. He's probably on his way to getting a lot of subscribers because, and I will link to this video down in the description because, you know, it's just a pretty amazing work what he's done. And I should mention that when I was a kid, when I was 13 years old, we went to East Africa. So there were some places in that video that I was like, oh, I think we were there. So take home is, you know, if you've got a phone earlier than the 15, yeah, I mean, you may want to consider upgrading. I am not an advocate nor a fan of upgrading a phone every year. I think that is it's wasteful. It's like we're wasting resources. You know, you should, if you're spending $1,000, which is, you know, this 12 Pro Max was over $1,000 with the memory that I bought. You know, I wasn't going to buy another phone for quite some time, but it's getting to the point where for me, it may be time. So anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Leave any questions, comments down below. I try to get to those as soon as I can. And if this was interesting or useful to you, hey, hit that like button. It's a big help to me. And new subscribers are always welcome. I'm Todd Banner. I will see you next time.